tell us when you're ready. You got the 1 minute mark. Sign.
Hey, Denny, we can't see you guys yet.
There's Lisa. We have the Zoomers are on. She's Leanne.
Yeah, but we can't see
and
you.
Mark. The Finance Committee, tonight we're scheduled, today is what? The 6th of October, 2022. Let's start off with our roll call here. And Mark Trudell.
Here.
Mark is here on Zoom. I am here. Josette.
Here.
Kathleen.
Here.
Adrian.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Brian. Is Brian on?
That's who I was looking for, and I
I don't see him up there.
He usually is.
Audrey?
Here.
You moved on. The voice came a little closer. Steve?
Here.
Leanne?
Here.
Jean? Doug?
Here.
Mark Sullivan is not here. Lisa?
Here.
And Larry. Larry is not here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did I count that right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Perfect. So our schedule is, agenda is limited tonight. Should we, is there, Jim, did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to take this opportunity right before you start to introduce Anne Marie Raymond. She's our new assistant town accountant. Anne Marie said. She comes to us from Brockton. She was the city interim city auditor there for 2 years, and we're really happy to have her. And we're fortunate that she decided to come over to Walpole. So I just wanted to take this time to introduce her.
Welcome. Hi. The public hearing was scheduled for 7, so we have a motion to open up for a public hearing.
So moved.
Is that-
You're looking right at me, and it's like, oh, that's all you gotta do is say. Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
Do we have a second?
Second. Kathleen.
That's your job.
Perfect. So we need to vote. So, Mark? Trudell?
Yes.
Yes. I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Brian is not here. Audrey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Leanne?
Yes.
Jean is not here. Doug?
Yes.
No. Lisa?
Yes.
Larry, no. We have 11 yeses, no nos, and no abstains. So the public hearing is now opened. So we turn to the audience here, and is there anyone here with any specific questions or on any of the articles that you would like to ask and open, rather than go through them each one? I think everyone has the booklets, so. It's pretty easy. Does anyone from the committee have any questions, comments, or anything else they would like to go through?
I guess the only comments I would make is, just since someone says at least a little bit.
Thank you, Jim.
It's pretty standard warrant that we have here. It's actually, I've been here 18+ years. It's probably maybe one of the shortest ones we've had. We've cut mostly to the chase on, it's mostly capital equipment, as committee members know here, capital requests. We do have a small couple of stabilization requests here, one for the general stabilization and another request for about $1.1 million for the capital stabilization, which will go towards likely future project, maybe the school, high school. We have the MWRA standard language there for the sewer grant, which has been on there each and every year. I think we're out to phase 14 on that one. Then the Medicaid, student parking, and McKinney-Vento, which goes directly through to the school department for their operating budget. The revolving funds is a small change. We're adding just a few items there and changing the Turco Field Fund to the general turf field fund. And then obviously some changes from the bylaw review committee, which that committee's done an excellent job. They put together a great explanation that's included in the packet there. So, you know, it's one of those, the smallest ones, as I said, but I think it's gonna take care of us for a long time, especially with a lot of these capital improvements in items we're purchasing here. So that's my 2 cents.
Wonderful. If there's no other comments from anyone? Questions? Going once, twice? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Josette?
Second.
And Mark did.
Second.
Perfect. Mark?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Leanne?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And Lisa?
Yes.
The yeses have it. Public hearing is closed. Wonderful. That was what I did. So, into minutes. Anyone that's here that doesn't want to stay for a discussion on minutes, do not feel obligated to remain.
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah.
Good night.
Night.
So, Josette had brought up that we had minutes from last April, but we had voted on them in June.
Yeah.
So those were
are
already
all taken.
approved.
Yeah. They're
So
all
the
taken.
minutes we have are for the meeting for the 29th, the 1st.
No, just for the first in September 1st and September 8th.
Oh, and I had the 29th. Did I not send those out?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, my question is, where is my notes from the 8th? Sorry. So on the 29th, we had I had one comment that came in from Jean that the motion to appoint Doug as the vice chair was by her, not by Doug. So I was gonna change that. I think that was the only thing that came in. Did anyone else have any recommended changes for the minutes for the 29th? No? If there's no discussion or comments on it, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for Monday, August 29th with the changes,
With the amendments.
with the
that are in it.
amendments, yeah?
So moved.
Second.
Scott, all right. Sorry, I gotta get mine. I messed up my papers here. So, Mark,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Leanne?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
11:00. That's 8:29. Those are good. We have several changes that came in for the meeting minutes for September 1st. The first was that Kathleen was here. So we've got that noted. On page 2, building maintenance at the 30-minute mark, we have a missing word "of" that we'll put in. Leanne noted that on the page 3, culture and recreation, 53 minutes and 58-second mark, that the 300th anniversary, that it was for 100, the capital budget committee recommended 150, not $50,000. And then Jean brought up that the central pool at the end of that same section was for 605,000, not 650,000.
I have
a minor change
Yeah,
as well. Just on my name, it's Rogers without a D. So it, 59 minutes, 40 seconds,
oop,
just in that section.
sorry, 1 second.
It's also misspelled in the committee.
Yeah, the top.
Maybe just do a find all.
Yep.
Change it to ROG.
R-O-G,
Thank you.
yep. Yeah, I'll just do that, find all. Yeah, I don't have the page number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, page 5. At the school department, 1 hour, 39 minutes, 39 seconds. Just there needs to be a space between the word typically and to. At the 2 hour, 1 minute mark, Josette didn't feel that the event, the description properly, reflects what she stated, so I'll go back and listen and update it to reflect that. But we'll get those, the wording a little bit more clear on that. I think that was it. Anything else anyone sees? If not, can we get a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of September 1st.
So, in a second.
Second.
Aye. Mark?
Abstain.
I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes, excuse me, yes, with the
With the change, yeah,
changes
yeah,
that
the
are
motion is
to be made.
to make the
I can
changes.
redo it.
Yeah, no,
No, that's fine.
we're good. Well, I
As
think,
long as we get it caught up, so
Yeah.
it's all the same.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Steve?
Abstain.
Abstain. Leanne?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
No, Mark's not here. Lisa?
Yes.
And Larry's not here. So that is, I have 2 abstained, so that is 9-0-2. So we have the minutes for the, what is the next date? And I forgot, I brought the ones, thank you. I think there were a couple of things in here, but I don't know if there were any. Oh, wait,
Yeah, you have it, because
I have it here. Yep, sorry. I just had to dig deeper in my pile. Sorry. So one of the, Lisa, there you are. In the spelling of your last name, it has the V capitalized, is that,
Sometimes I just despair.
should be lowercase, correct?
Capital V-A-N space, lowercase D-E-R space, capital L-I-N-D-E-N.
So it's a capital V?
Capital V.
Oh, it is right
So
then.
it's spelled correctly.
Lowercase d.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
But
not.
but there are so many ways of doing those names.
Okay, so it
It's
is
not-
correct.
It's not you, it's me.
It's important to get names correct.
All right, and that was the only,
Correct
so
again.
I didn't have any,
Rogers is
Rogers again, just in all the notes.
it's in all of them.
I mean, it's in the last 2. I wasn't.
It's R-O,
It's just R-O-G, no D. R-O-G-E-R-S.
okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Did anything from anyone else? So, do I have a motion for the approval of these minutes with the recommended changes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
So that was Audrey?
Yep, and Adrian.
And Audrey is the second.
Aye. That's why I like my iPad. Mark?
Abstain.
I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Abstain.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Leanne,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
So that is 2 abstain, so 9-0-2. Excellent. Is there anything else anyone has? I think, Jim, we're gonna put together some dates in November we're looking at.
Yeah, so just to, I know you're wrapping up, but Denny and I have talked a little bit about some of the ideas we bounced around, which was having a few of the larger department heads in to talk to you about some of their upcoming needs before we get into the budget. That'll give you some good time to ask them questions, learn a little bit more about the budget before you get the whole big budget booklet and printout. So we were initially thinking about having police, fire, and DPW, and if you'd like someone else, just let Denny and I know if you'd like to hear from someone else, more than willing to do it. Have them in initially, and then set up, I probably might invite the select board, since we did something similar actually in this room last November, and it was productive. The board was able to hear directly from the fire chief. Rich Kelleher was the new police chief, so he was still learning, what was needed to be the chief, but it was a good one-on-one time with the board and the department head, so I might invite the select board if you guys are okay with that also. And then I have talked to Superintendent Goff and the select board chair about coming in and having a joint meeting and talking about some things like, Jim, what are you seeing as far as new growth projections? I'll be quite honest with you. Dennis pulled me aside this week and he said, don't expect what you're getting this year in new growth. We're right around 1,150,000 or something like that. I'm probably gonna knock the budget back down to 6 or 650 at the highest, because the new growth, quite honestly, just isn't there right now. A lot of the building has been built out. Summer Street hasn't started. The project up off of Renmar Road, which is 106 units, hasn't started. So we really can't count any of that new growth. So I'm expecting to pull that back a bit from where we've been the last few years. I'd like to, get the boards and committees on the record about, my plan is to go to the 2.5%. Here's why the plan to go with the 2.5%, and get some initial dialogue between the boards. Let you guys talk through it. If you want me to go somewhere else, of course, I'll build any type of budget you'd like me to build. And also talk a little bit about OPEB, and I'd like to probably talk about the debt budget a little bit more with everyone in the room, so you're aware of, here's where Jody and I are at with the debt budget as far as, a potential $30 million high school in a few years. We're not there yet, I'll be real honest. You'll see the numbers in a few years. We're still only at about, in the debt budget, plus 700 and close to 750. Do I think we can get there? The answer is yeah, but it's gonna involve some planning, and I wanna kinda run through it all with you, put it on paper, and then walk you through our thought process behind that. Feel good about that? So just some of those topics, and of course, anything you think you'd want to cover that evening with the joint boards. I'm guessing we probably do it at the Council on Aging, so we can all spread out and be kind of in a square or a horseshoe or something like that. So that's really it. And buildings, I know Larry talked about potentially seeing some of the buildings. Denny and I talked about maybe setting it up on some Tuesday nights leading up to it. If you're interested in it, sign up for it. I'll make sure someone's probably Dawn Anderson's available to show you through the buildings. And then if you can't make it, just let us know and we'll try to set up something. But I'm gonna pick a DPW garage. We're gonna do that, January, whatever. If you're interested, come on down and walk through it, because I know it'll be tough to coordinate everybody's schedules.
Yeah, it's everything, but on that one, I don't think it's an official, is it an official meeting? Do we have to
No,
post
because
it?
you won't be deliberating or
Yeah.
anything.
Okay. So the dates we're looking at is the 14th and 17th of November for those meetings?
Ish, yeah, about that. Again, I'll send, you and I haven't finalized that.
Yeah.
I just want to check, because you remind me, one of them was the night before Veterans.
Well, the 10th,
Day, and I didn't want to do that.
yeah, we skipped that.
We agreed. And I'm mindful of Thanksgiving week and everything, people travel,
That's
so.
good, because I'll be in California.
Yeah, so if we have to go a little bit into December, it won't really mess me up too much, Jody and I don't sit down to really do the budget until, the budgets all come in. We do them usually around Christmas, New Year's week and everything, when it's nice and
But
quiet.
part of it's just trying to get ahead. I mean, if we're gonna do it
Yeah.
afterwards, but the whole idea is before the department heads and everyone.
Yeah.
You have a hand up.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. And I saw that earlier, thank you. Mark, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just for those meetings, can we get an update on the Siemens TIF and where we are in that funding mechanism? And any of the pilot programs that may be seeing an escalation over the next couple of years?
Sure, I'll include that. Yep.
Thank you.
And you just reminded me, Mark, I'll probably also include something in there, since this is the select board's first time setting the living adjustments for the non-union people. I've already drafted my recommendation to them, my reasoning behind it and everything, so I'll walk the committee through that and have the select board speak to you a little bit about what they're recommending too, so.
Excellent.
Where is the level of the solar system on South Street? Is that something that's online yet, or is it still in the
No,
mill?
they haven't even approached us to, Attorney Mackey's working on it. He and I met last month to talk about that, among other things. And there was the person who owned the property passed away, and his relatives inherited it, and they're still going forward with it. It's just going through
Going
that
legal
process
process.
of seeing out the estate and everything.
So it's nothing that we have to be concerned
No.
with, or it's not even on the radar?
Not
at this
time.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, good. Any questions from anyone, or comments, thoughts? If you think of, oh, sorry, Kathy.
All right. I just wanted to bring up again, we had some conversations that I know we're frustrating for Jim about what our role is, at what point we push back. You know, just on the one hand, rubber stamping things, which of course we don't do, versus really digging deep and asking questions and when that's appropriate. Does anybody else recognize that we talked about this a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Everybody
We
was
were
blank,
there.
and I was like, did I dream this?
Can't believe you said that.
When is the right time for us to kind of hash that stuff out?
I would assume, my opinion, this is just me talking, is that meeting in November, you know, to get as much information out and opinions and thoughts so that they can put the budget together off of that, with the assumption that they then listen, and put that together, so when we meet in the spring, you know, hopefully we're far more in agreement with what is presented to us in the spring based off of the input that we gave in November.
This is almost accidentally or otherwise a response to that, in that this gives us the background information before we go into the process of voting on these things.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because there are times in the past when we get there and, well, you know, it's a little late, now we've got to change and move or adjust and go from there. So let's remember this for next year, and I felt like we've said that many times. But this time, you know, we can have those, hopefully we recall our memories.
Sure, and I
present
like it, and someone will have to remind me, or I'll take notes. But is there any need for a more philosophical discussion? You know, I think that there's a wide range of views on the board in terms of, we're not just here to say yes to everything. And I don't think anybody here is saying yes to everything. I just wonder if we as a group, sans Jim, I mean, he's welcome to be here, but if we need to kind of get on the same page. Yes, no, or we just let that kind of play out once we have this body of knowledge?
I have no problem getting together a date before ahead of time and having that
Well, I don't wanna
conversation.
do it just because
No, it's probably not a bad idea. Before, so if I hear you correctly, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, are you saying, hey, let's have a meeting before the department heads and everyone comes in and have
I'm
just an
wondering if
internal
it's
discussion?
useful. I don't know for sure, I'm not convinced myself, I'm just throwing it out there and saying, I don't want to have a repeat of what we had this year, in that I think some of us were giving more pushback than surely you expected, and
It was obvious.
that's why I was surprised you'd sit next to me. But I understand the unbelievable amount of work that goes into it, and I don't like to see this board being frustrating. I know we have to push back sometimes, but I don't want it to be frustration because philosophically we have differences.
Just if I could weigh in, I don't know if it would be productive to do that before you actually had the budget now. Because you don't even know what
What we're talking about.
town administration's gonna ask for, or finance. Maybe she's asking for, Jody's gonna ask for 2 more people in that department. I think you might need to see it and digest it a little bit and say, okay, well, why is there such a spike in the finance director's budget or something like that? And, you know, get on the same page, two or three of you, and maybe not raise the questions that night, and if you don't want me there, I won't be there, I won't take offense to it, but maybe kind of jot them all down. Hey, Jim, we had a question about this, we know you might have covered it in the budget message, but we want more detail on it, and why are you setting aside X amount of money in, I don't know, in Dennis's, the Board of Assessors budget, why is there a little bit of a spike there? Or, you know, if you want to get everyone on the same page, but I don't know if it'd be productive if you had that before you had the budget. So.
That's a fair statement. Turn, yeah, we'll start.
I think it's great for us to be more proactive, and in order to do that, we should be better informed. Also, I just love meeting with y'all, so, so lay it on. But I'm wondering if, I think we can be a better committee if we are a little more hands-on. I'm wondering if our relationship to the master plan committee, if they have goals about, you know, the budgetary future of Walpole that the FinCom can help them with. And completely random, I have often wished for circle charts of our budgets through the years that grow proportionately or shrink to how different departments are spending money, and also that the pie itself enlarges over the years. And I would also like pies next to that show our population expanding, so that I can really, I mean, I have a sense sometimes that our spending is going in directions that I personally don't want it to. I'm just one person in this whole wonderful town, but if we could all see that and say, oh, look, through the years, our population has sort of done this, and our town budget has done this, or maybe it hasn't, maybe it stayed small, or maybe our town budget has grown in proportion with our town population, but certain parts of the town budget have changed through the years, and are those changes that we want? So, am I the only person who would want to see that information visually to help us be a little more strategic as a committee?
No, I think that would be
Yeah, that would be
useful.
great, I think.
Yeah.
And I think you just volunteered to do it.
If you send me the spreadsheets, I can make some pivot tables
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes? I'm sorry, just,
No, go ahead. She's
taking over.
well, if she's doing the pivot table, she can call on anyone she wants. She's taking that on.
So the Department of Revenue has a, they call it the DLS, oh my God, I just lost it. Management bank or something like that, and it shows all sorts of statistics and trends. And it's a lot of information, really good information. We also have on our website the transparency software, which does give information also in terms of from year to year. So that you might find that helpful as well.
Yeah,
through you, Denny, is the DLS management bank town-specific?
Yeah.
It's a municipal data bank, sorry,
Municipal, that
municipal data
yeah,
bank.
because as she was saying that, I was thinking it'd be useful to see how we stack up against like peer towns as well. Or do we have, you know, twice as many cops as a similar sized town next door? Do we have, or we, you know, it's in the same ballpark, or, you know, different things like that?
You may
I
not
think would
get
be
that
helpful.
kind of detail, though.
Could you send a link to
Yeah.
everyone so we can get in and look around and explore? Excellent. Yeah.
So I'm just piggybacking off of Kathleen, in that I think that those meetings, having it be, knowing ahead of time that it's a place to freely ask questions, to discuss things, I think that, you know, at the meeting that we all felt a little uncomfortable, I didn't know if I was overstepping my bounds. I'm constantly, you know, still for a little bit, we're gonna be kind of like, is this my role, is this my place? Knowing ahead of time, this is the place to really question, I think is gonna alleviate a lot of that stress and confusion when we're actually, it shouldn't be a surprise anymore. We shouldn't. So I think I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity to freely ask questions without feeling like I'm doing something wrong.
You're not.
You're not.
Yeah,
I also think, so I also see part of our role as being ambassadors for the budget. So to be able to ask those questions that other people would ask and give them the answers that they would ask, otherwise that they come up either in town meeting or on Facebook. But we can be the people that fully understand those nuances and answer those questions. And asking questions here in that space helps bring to light some of the thought process behind that too. So we can be better advocates for our town budget and understand those decisions, whether or not we agree with them, right? But we can at least affirm that it was a thoughtful process and there was a discussion behind it too, and it wasn't a rubber stamp, or we can bring up those questions. So I think that is very helpful in this space.
Great.
And also particularly if, we put aside extra money and that needs a 2/3 vote to get out again, and so to have more ambassadors behind a 2/3 vote is always better, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to get back to my original thing, I think, I don't want to have another meeting, but I think my point that night was more of Jim's marching orders. Like, I kept hitting, we need to make sure that we're matching up recurring expenses with recurring funds, and we need to, like I was saying, I don't want to see a mismatch between one-time money. And that's not gonna come out in these meetings necessarily. So I don't want Jim to put together a budget and then have us say, okay, so we've met with people and we've kind of worked out what our philosophy is, now go revise the budget. So if other people don't have the same concerns about, from a philosophical perspective.
So I'll say, when you first said it, I thought it was a good idea, Jim, but then as Jim said
Now
it.
you've talked me out of it.
Well, no, what I'm thinking is, I almost think, and God, I hate proposing more meetings. Have these meetings, but we have the conversation, that, hey, this is our philosophies and opinions, and what we may find, and I expect that we're gonna find, is that there isn't 15 of us that agree on how everything should be, but, at least you can hear 15 different opinions for what it's worth, interpret it, go from there.
Respectfully.
Yes.
Respectfully, and we've been very, knock on wood, we've been a very good committee. And there's only been, I think, 1 year in the past that there was issues. But everybody in general, and the new people coming in also, are all, you can agree to disagree respectfully without getting argumentative about it. And I think that's what the goal has
Well, I just want to
always
get
been
everyone
on
ahead of
these.
time, get some information to the department heads and Jim on what we're thinking. But he's right that until we see it, the problem is when we see it,
The work's.
it's, it's almost too late, so I don't know if it makes sense. When do we normally meet again, in late February?
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean, you have
after
to
the-
deliver the budget by the first Monday in February. You haven't always delivered on, it's always tight, because the governor comes out late. I'm waiting on the insurance numbers, so
The insurance numbers are always.
they're always, the governors and the insurance numbers are always the thing that, like, I'm waiting to the last minute on. So February 15th to the 28th, somewhere in there is usually your first.
Does it make sense, once we get it, to have another discussion before it kind of gets published and finalized? Have a
See, the charter requires me to deliver a balanced budget by the first Monday in February. That's
And
one of the things that
because you're
needs
down to
be-
the last minute with the other stuff.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta do this and bang it out real quick, and so that, we gotta change the charter, and so it's not as restrictive, and it gives us some more flexibility, but, yeah, so it's tough. The timing doesn't allow for it, but if,
So through you, Denny,
Yes.
just to Jim. Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? Do you feel you know well enough what it is we're looking for to put together the budget?
I have a general sense, but honestly, new members, I don't know what you're looking for. And when you say you don't know if it's bad to ask a question, I think we talked about meeting together in this room or whatever room, and kind of just talking through how the two of us develop the budget and what goes into it. And we look at trends as far as like, okay, on the local receipt side, what do we think we're gonna meet? And I think that with some of the new members, because you've been on this committee for a long time now, and it's a well-oiled machine, I think, for the most part. And I understand that sometimes Brian pushes back on me on certain things. I'm like, I don't like that, let me tweak that. But we work through it. And if the committee feels like, we change this a little bit, just like Doug did with the capital stabilization. We talked about it before, he came to me, can we make this work? So what I always appreciate is if you do have questions, come to me before, let me know, let the chair know that I am thinking of proposing this. Will it mess the budget up, or where will it impact the budget? If I want to make a change to the fire department and reduce their personnel line by $50,000, where are you gonna pull that, what are you gonna do with that 50,000? How are you gonna make it work? Because it may be, okay, I'll add, instead of adding a firefighter a quarter of the way into the year, maybe I'll do it 3/4 of the way into the year. These are just things off the top of my head, but it's better for me to know at least a few days before if you're proposing something under a budget, because generally we go public safety budgets, DPW budgets, then all the other budgets on different nights. It would be helpful for me to know, I'm proposing to make this change to the animal control. ACO was one that came up, and that was a close vote last year. And I advocated for the way the ACO budget was set up was because we have a joint agreement with the town of Norwood. So it's helpful for me if I know beforehand where you may be coming from or where you may be looking to change the budget.
When I see the two up there, just quickly, yeah, I mean, the other thing, remember, is, and I'm gonna just pulling random numbers out, but 70, probably 80%, what is it? Well, you got the school committee that goes off, takes their 2/3 plus of the revenue. But then, the town's operating budget, most of it is tied to labor costs, right? I don't know if
We do is the solid waste, health insurance, general insurance, a few others are, pension right off the top is set. And so then whatever the school department gets, 2/3 of the remaining, the town gets 1/3 of the remaining, and it's pretty much set. There's not much flexibility unless you really want to go in and make some changes. Again, I'm picking on Jody's department. We want to see that budget reduced. We don't like that the treasurer collector has X amount of people, we want to reduce it to Y. And that's when you could dig in a little bit, but it's.
Does it make sense, and Mark and Leanne, I'll go to you guys next, for particularly the newer members to see, last year's, get the book and other things, so you know what you're going to see? I've looked at it for many a year.
That's fine. I just want to quickly respond, just because I don't feel like I'm getting in trouble anymore. I just want to be clear that I now understand the process better. I will take you up when there's new things called on meeting with you ahead of time, and if I have questions meeting ahead of time, I just want to be clear that I don't think I'm still getting into trouble. But I'm understanding the role better.
Someone mute her microphone then.
What'd you say?
Mute your microphone. Okay.
Mark, you want to go?
Sure. Jim, when is the Board of Selectmen basically giving you your marching orders on the budget? When do they say, for next year, we want you to make sure you add 2 firefighters, add 2 policemen, that kind of stuff? When do they actually give you the marching orders to start the budget process?
I anticipate that will come after the meeting with the school committee and FinCom.
Okay.
Leanne?
Yeah, I just had a question. I know Jim's under like a tight timeline and deadline, and there's charters that dictate that. But is there is there a sneak peek? Is there something that we could, outside of the school department, outside of the big budgets, but some of the smaller departments, is there a way to see that before it's considered final, or is that something that's not allowed? So before you've run off in a direction and say you're 95% of the way there, is that something that we could is allowed? I'm curious.
Yeah,
I can hear it, yeah.
I can hear. So the question was, are you allowed to look at the budgets before? I am finishing this thing up until I get the health insurance and the governor's budget. It's mostly the health insurance. And, we met with them last week. They said they always say budget 8 to 10%. I'm gonna go on the higher side because I know what our experience has been. We had a good, they take 2 years worth of look back. We had a good year that dropped off. Last year was not a great year, and they think it was because people were coming out of their houses, going to the doctors more. This year's a little bit better, but they said your modification is 8 to 10 again. So again, if it comes in really at 10, I'm gonna have to make some cuts to those budgets. So I don't release the whole budget until I know what those numbers are, so.
Which is fair, because
That
then we
makes
start
sense.
looking at something and it changes dramatically.
Yeah.
It would drive me crazy. And our job isn't here to do the budget for you, it's
No, we're not
to
gonna
advise.
micromanage.
So,
But you can get a sneak peek by, like, the school department usually has a public budget meeting, and you can go to that. The recreation committee meets, I mean, you have to do your research, find out when committees are meeting to kind of listen to these things, but there are ways to get sneak peeks, but short of Jim letting us into the department head meetings.
which is what the idea of November was just to have the conversation ahead of time. Get a feel for things. And we've never done this before. I was just trying to help, maybe I've opened Pandora's box and made it worse, but, you know, when we get together in March and we sit there for 3 hours discussing, nitpicking little things that we really can't change, you know, easily change, because if we change that, then we've got to find the money elsewhere and shuffle and move, and so we never do anything. I was just trying to get ahead of the game. So, all right. Any other question? Is that, Leanne, are you, did I see the hand go
Yes.
back up?
Yes, I did. I was poking around the DLS website, and so if anyone is looking for something to do late night, there's a lot of stuff on here, so.
All right. So now we
That
have
was
homework before it. Great. We've really made this worse now. So everyone come in on the 10th, if that's the date, or no, not the 10th, 14th. Not messing with the Marine Corps birthday. And we have our homework done. If you're like me, you'll wait till the afternoon of the 10th and do your reading then.
And you have town meeting.
What's that? Oh, town meeting,
17th, Monday.
17th, yes.
We'll start
Let-
at 7:15. We have 3 caucuses. But he wants to get, if Congressman Lynch shows up, have him speak, hopefully before 7:30, and really try to start it at 7:30 PM
And
sharp.
hopefully completed.
Yeah. I have asked them if they're showing up, and they didn't
I
give me
got
an
plans
answer.
next day to California, so
What are
if
the
it goes
caucuses
over,
for
I'm
precinct
leaving you
4?
alone.
I forget what they're all for.
I
Do you know?
tied with someone for the 3-year, 3-year two,
So you're the culprit.
Yeah. mine.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the town meeting on, we'll post in case, but case there's-
Aoife came to me today, asked.
I'll be, no, I'm there, yeah. I moved a trip, I'm flying to
If
California the
something
day
comes up,
after, just to
You
do it.
know, we'll post, but if not, we won't.
Yeah,
bother posting.
okay. So normally we have, or not normally, I guess in case we need to, we always have a meeting scheduled if needed to make any last minute
morning,
changes
yeah.
or votes, but,
That's not the situation this year.
yeah, this,
It's really bizarre.
before we get in
Very
trouble.
unusual.
Excellent. All right, if there's nothing else, this quick meeting turned into a long one, I apologize.
45 minutes.
We have a
Motion to adjourn.
It's okay.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Leanne.
Yeah, Leanne, and I-
All right, Mark?
Yep, yes.
I'm a yes. Josette?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Brian's not here. Audrey?
Yes.
Steve? I should put the
Yes.
glasses on, that makes it easier. Leanne?
yes.
Jean's not here. Doug?
Yep, yes.
Mark is not here. Lisa?
Yes.
That is 11:00. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.